Hello everyone, this is Pastor Katie from First Presbyterian Church of Decatur, and I am really compelled today by this idea of what is right. In our sermon on Sunday, we talked about it's better to suffer for doing what is right and good versus suffering for doing evil. And I spent a lot of time talking about the difference between pain and suffering for a lot of the sermon, but I'm still stuck by this idea of what is good and right because of this time that we find ourselves in. I think we're seeing clear examples of how blurry right and wrong are and how those are not always the same. And so I think what is right is there's like this polarization of like what is right and what is wrong, and that you are either right or wrong, and that there's not a lot of in between. And I think I talk about this a lot, of kind of living in the gray area of what's right and wrong. I am not a legalist. I'm a gray person, right? I don't see things in black and white often. I think there's a lot of gray. But I was recently having a conversation with someone who had to be right. I know you know this person. I know that you're related to this person. You see this person on Facebook, whatever, as to what they have to be right. And they will not admit that they're ever wrong. And that is so difficult to navigate and manage those types of conversations where you have to be right. And how many fights, even within a marriage, of you both believe that you're right and you're fighting over the same thing, but you have to both believe that you're right, and what that might mean, and how much friction that causes, and how that. So I'm curious about the desire to be right. Where does that come from for us? That we have to be right, and that clarity that we know what right is. Now, I know that there are certainly some things in our lives that just pull on our heartstrings, and you're like, this is right. And there's this intuition, and I think a lot of it's God-given, of right and wrong. We kind of know where those lines are for a lot of times, but there are also things that two people can believe in exact opposite things and both believe that they're right, and for good reasons. And how do we navigate that? And I think specifically as we're looking at what the world is going to look like here in the next couple of weeks and months, as we start to open up, what is the right thing to do? And the right thing for me may not be the right thing for you, and how to navigate all of that. Because I think it's hard. Well, and it's hard to know what's right now too, right? So I think that it is right to wear a mask when you are out in public to protect others, and as a way of saying, I don't want you to be sick, so I'm going to wear a mask, and I'm going to be uncomfortable for the 20 minutes I'm in the store so that you are safe and protected. I think that that's right, but I know that there are a lot of people that disagree with me on that. And as we're starting to try to resume some normal sense of our lives, as people I know are meeting with other people, they're breaking social distancing or having people over, and I have opinions about those things as to whether they are right or wrong, and they're not my decisions to make. And what's right for you may not be right for me. And this idea of, how do we know what's right? And even what's right for me. And how do I know and have that kind of indignation about this is what's right for me, and be able to stand firm in that, even when people are in opposition. So I think where my thoughts have been lately have been, what makes this right for me? And how do I articulate that? But also knowing that what's right for me, it may not be right for you, and that your reasons are just as valid, and why you think that and why you feel that way are often, and to honor that you think that that's right, even though I don't think that's right. Especially as we're trying to like figure out the gray area of releasing quarantine a little bit. Not that much, but also kind of. And so I think the message that I want to convey is this idea of being right is not something I necessarily need to dig my heels in. I need to know for myself what I feel is right and wrong, but I also don't know how much I need to project that onto other people. And why am I doing that? Because I think a lot of times we know what's right for us, and then we believe so firmly that this is what's right for us, that then I'm going to make sure that you know it's right for you too. And I don't know that that's what we're called to do. And to do what is right and what is good may not be universal. May not be right. What's right for me may not be right for you. And I get that that's hard to navigate and to get through. But I think one of the ways that we figure out what's right and wrong is by reading scriptures, listening to what God has to say to us, but also asking for wisdom and listening to what God actually wants for us, and not so much of what I want for me, but maybe what God wants for me. And I think that those are hard things to do, and not everyone wants to do those, but I think that's what we're kind of called to do. So my hope for you today is that you will be able to find out what's right for you, and know that that may not be right for everyone, but that you are given the wisdom from God to know what is best for you and your family, as we try to make decisions in the upcoming days of what to do or what not to do, but also just in general in our lives. So that is my hope for you today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye, guys.